And this is a beautiful story of why this course is very special. 15 years ago, no, in 2008, so that's more than 15 years ago, that spring, one of the undergraduates, a junior at the time in this course, was Jordan Charles. And he still is, as you'll see, he's very much thriving. And Jordan Charles, after I put on the blackboard my theory how to predict the speeds of running animals and flying animals, he came up at the end of the hour, says, Professor Bejan, what you showed here for animals could be done, could be retold as a way to predict the evolution of speeds in sports. One of you is working on this. You? Anyway, Jordan Charles. And then I said, wait a minute. I have not thought about that. And then I asked him, how come you think like this? Well, he said, I am the starting breaststroke swimmer for the Duke NCAA team. So he's an athlete who is practicing every day. And he's a junior. Long story short, we wrote the paper about how to predict the evolution of athletics. We published it, and he is acknowledged in books of mine that are newer than your textbook. And so Jordan, after he got his bachelor's degree 1 year later, decided to work in industry. He worked for Boeing for I forgot how many years, and then he went to MIT for his graduate degrees. And today he is a vice president at Blue Origin. One of you from almost rural Pennsylvania. You have to think about these examples. It's just like the trees in the forest. They surprise you. And this topic is the second paper that now he's a real engineer at Boeing, and we wrote, I think that's where he was. It should be in Boeing, because I'm going to give you a reprint of, a copy of the paper. So yes, the airplane. Two things about them. They all look the same. I'm talking about the commercial jet aircraft. They all look the same. But some are big, some are small. The bigger few, the smaller many. Every year, new airplanes are made. Every 10 years, new models are adopted by these companies that purchase them to vehicle all of us. But every year, the new arrivals are a hierarchy of few large and many small. Famous of the few large is the Airbus, is it 380, which is not arriving anymore. But the small ones, they're coming from everywhere, from Brazil to Canada and many other aircraft makers. So hierarchy is one thing that characterizes these moving structures that are stressed. And they're stressed because if they were not stressed safely, they would have broken up in the air a long time ago. And so they're hierarchical, but they also look kind of the same. And they also look like the birds. Wait, the birds look the same. And what do I mean by that? All these things that fly tend to have a wingspan of the same order of magnitude as the body length, or the so-called fuselage length. Fuselage. What's the origin of that? See, words are much older than you, and much older than the language that you're employing, such as English. English is a very recent language. Fuse, F-U-S, is the name for the spindle. So in the village, this is Dark Ages, the this is in winter time in the village house. Villagers, I don't know whether both men and women were doing this. They would wrap a thread of wool, and then do this to that spindle, and it would rotate. Then it would twist the thread. So twisting of the thread was done by using a spindle. And yes, the fuselage of the airplane is that spindle. The shape of it is obviously cylindrical, but it's kind of thick in the middle, like a fish, and because of the thread wrapped around it, and thin at both ends. Yes, so fuselage which is the French word for spindle, and then the wing. The wing would be here. Fuselage will be called L. The wing will be called S from span. So, diversity, which is another name for the hierarchy, goes hand in hand with a similar look. Similar does not mean identical in this presentation. Why? And what the analysis from the modest analyst promises is a quick answer. It goes as follows. It begins with making not a poor man's drawing of the airplane, a drawing that the beggar would make, even simpler than what the poor man would make. Here's that drawing. The fuselage. Well, we don't know the aspect ratio of the cross-section of the fuselage, so I draw a two-dimensional thing that has two dimensions, d vertically and dx, meaning dy and dx. This is the fuselage. And sticking to the side is the wing. The wing, all of it, but extending in one direction because I'm a very poor artist. So that direction is perpendicular. This is the wing. The span, capital S is that. By the way, the length of the fuselage, I already told you, it's L. And the wing has a swept length called LW. This is the length of the wing, and a thickness called T. And of course, here is the cross-section A, which is clearly the product of dx dy. It's a drawing. Well, the airplane flies with a speed, which means that the air blows into it with a speed v. I think I told you more than once that to make a drawing, you do not need dimensions, say numbers of centimeters for this and for this. The drawing conveys a message because of it has proportions, ratios. And those ratios go as follows. One would be about the shape of the cross-section. Say, so I'm writing now these ratios that very soon will be the obvious unknowns called degrees of freedom. They're free to change. dy dx. That's one of them. Another one is the slenderness of the fuselage. L divided by square root of A. Square root of A is the length scale of the cross-section. Another one is the unknown that I fingered over here, is the ratio of wingspan to fuselage length. By the way, this L over the square root of A could be written as L over dx or L over dy. Another aspect ratio is obviously here, namely LW over T, or the other way around. And then another one is the aspect ratio of the face, or the frontal view of the wing, which is LW, which is T over, never mind, is the view of the wing from above, which is LW over S. So being careful with my drawing, I came up with at least 5 unknowns that I have to figure out before I can declare that I have predicted the evolution of the airplanes without seeing one. Get it? Because I can make this drawing by looking at a bird if you want, and the bird doesn't look like this. It looks like this because I'm a very poor artist, you see. So these are the degrees of freedom. There are 2 ideas that we will be invoking. One is the drag overcome by this kind of a body. Listen, you know from the treatment of animal locomotion that the work to overcome drag at the end of that particular day is of the same order of magnitude as the work required to lift the falling body. So we skip over that because we've done that. So we just look at how this configuration, as we morph it, can decrease that drag. So the drag, which is a force felt by the entire object, non-dimensionalized almost, but not completely, meaning divided by rho 1/2 the density of air and then v squared. This is the so-called dynamic pressure rise. Has 2 terms. One due to impact on the fuselage, so that is the frontal area A, and then the friction, here is the taus, on the perimeter. And the perimeter is little p, so you have a friction coefficient, and then p, and then the length of that fuselage surface. So that's for the fuselage. And then plus the same sort of accounting for the drag due to the wingspan. Well, it is, instead of A, we write ST, or TS. And then plus friction on the upper surface, which is a friction coefficient, and then the upper surface, which is SLW. I did not write friction over this tip. The tips of wings turn out to be very, very kind of almost non-existent, because the wing is not like this. The wing is tapered at the tip. Anyway, so so that is for the wingspan. Wing singular means the 2 wings together. The next, so this is the beginning. Next, one of the questions will be how the weight of this flying body is distributed among the fuselage and the wingspan. There are those two bodies, so the total mass is equal to the mass of the fuselage plus the mass of the wings. Very soon, not today, we will understand why this dichotomy is important, because the mass of the wing, when it comes to jet aircraft, is basically the mass of the fuel installed on the airplane, meaning something that's proportional to the range, the distance to which the aircraft travels. So we're very tricky here. We speak simple language, but the messages are very important. It has to do with fuel and the range. This is why we're curious about dividing or distributing mass wisely between the inhabited house, which is the fuselage, meaning the useless people on board, and everybody else. A little bit later, maybe next time I lecture, there will be a third mass here, which is the mass of the engines, without which there is no movement. Yeah, I think I just ran out of time. But two things. This is just the beginning. You detect already that it's fun. And even better, this is a story that came from Jordan Charles, who at the time was designing the Boeing 777. You've been on that? Boeing, yeah, listen, next time you get on that, think of him.